What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life. Or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah!
I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Happy hour on a Wednesday, 2 days away from when so many of us pay attention to soccer for the first time in 4 years. Where's the party, man? That's all you really care about, right? Where's the best place to get together with people who either love soccer or are faking it like you and me? The answer is Craven, 69th and Louise, the new official watch party for the American Outlaws Soccer Club. Jackson Rentschler of Craven, Clint Cron of the American Outlaws will join us. It's called World Cup 101 for Dummies, like you and me. Most of you, maybe some of you are diehards, but it'll be a fun way to set the stage for the best place to go watch these games and make a party of it, starting on Friday night at Craven, and also a preview. I mean, what's to know if you don't just want to stumble in and watch the game and figure out who Team USA is and who has the ball. Like, who are the main players in this? What kind of a shot does the USA have of winning? What are the expectations? How much has the sport grown? All that stuff. Looking forward to it. We'll go out to Craven in just a little bit. The Vikings, more evidence. Kyler Murray should be your starting quarterback. He'll be the better starting quarterback. In fact, he could have his best NFL season, and the Vikings offense could pop if and when he wins this battle with J.J. McCarthy. Of all people, Cam Newton gave the best possible illumination on how Kyler Murray can pop with the Vikings. I can't wait to bring that to you. And we have hints from minicamp who's winning the battle, who eventually will win the battle. There's hints. We'll play some bites. Let's start with North Dakota football. It's been a few days now since the nasty headline came down that made it feel like this was SMU death penalty 1986. The headline originally all across the country, even at the Grand Forks Herald, NCAA penalizes UND football for tampering violation. Whoa, tampering, playing dirty, talking to recruits when you shouldn't, when the portal's not open. And then comes the penalties, a $25,000 fine. Well, that's a lot of money to you and me. And it's, for an FCS mid-major type of school like UND, not a lot of big, high-rolling boosters. It's not nothing. Then there's a 1-week ban on recruiting communications. You can get around that. 3% reduction in official paid visits. Not a lot. 3 1-week bans on unofficial visits. Okay, then ban unofficial visits on the weeks where you don't have a home game, so recruits can still go to your home games. The one big one is the 1 week during the transfer portal window when you can't talk to portal recruits. It might hit UND hard, but the headline is much bigger than the actual crime, and the head coach, Eric Schmidt, spoke out on it for the first time, and he did it with the UND-friendly podcast, and we'll get to what he had to say. But I will tell you before you hear the bite, I'm now rooting for UND. Now, as in now, not rooting. I'm now rooting. I'm not rooting for UND to beat the Jacks, beat the Yotes, win the Valley. I'm just saying this is a program worth rooting for because they did something every school should do, and then the details of the quote-unquote crime make it really not seem like a crime. It makes the NCAA look a lot worse than UND. And the Fighting Hawks, whether they were stupid or just noble or both, you have some respect for them for self-reporting their own violation. Okay? And I actually think not only does it make UND more likable, it also, after a couple days, I feel like it's going to help them more than it will hurt them. Or they will get good publicity out of this for reporting their own violation. Everybody loves to hate the NCAA anyway. So, except for this Brendan Sorsby case where the NCAA tried to not let him play, for gambling on the sport, like the number one cardinal sin in sports. But I think enough recruits will, and their parents and whoever, I just think sometimes that whole bad publicity is good publicity thing. This looked like bad publicity. I think it's good publicity now, and it might actually help UND in recruiting, despite the hit it will take with not being able to talk to transfers that first week when the portal opens, which I think you could lose 1 or 2 or 3 difference-making players that way when you are a week behind everybody else in going after those recruits. But they could get a neutralization on the other end for, I think, the goodwill this has sparked, the goodwill, now that a few more days have passed. And I think Eric Schmidt, by coming out and talking about it and explaining it, only made the case more for Schmidt and his program, which was already on the rise, which was already getting higher quality players. And now here's Eric Schmidt, 2-part bite. First of all, explaining just exactly what happened, why UND was hit for a tampering violation. Here's Eric.
He called us and was like, hey, would you be interested in me? I'd like to transfer out of the school that I'm at right now. And Coach Steps had a prior relationship with the kid. So there was a conversation there that led into some text messages and things like that. So number one, I feel like, hey, like it came from the player. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we were running around trying to figure out, trying to grab a guy from somebody else's roster. And then number two, I think, that happens is nobody wants to report anything or anything like that. Like everybody's, trying to cover up and that kind of stuff. Once, Travis took a transcript down to our compliance and they found that, hey, this kid wasn't in the portal yet. Then we self-reported it and said, hey, this kid, we're not recruiting the kid. Travis was doing this all on his own. He was trying to help the kid. Like, he had, like I said, recruited the kid from junior college and said, hey, we don't have room for you, but I can call around and see if there's, some of my colleagues in the business, that kind of stuff, that would maybe be interested in you, and go from there.
Let's review. The player, not UND, reached out. This was a player in California who was probably reaching out to a bunch of schools, but UND did not contact him. Number two, this kid didn't come from a competitor that UND was battling for amongst other FCS schools or D2 schools, or maybe even NDSU like they normally battle. This came from a junior college. And I pointed it out, but I'm going to emphasize it today. Junior college, where most kids play 1 and at the most 2 seasons. They're always looking to leave. The plan is to leave after 1 or 2 years. So they're trying to get ahead during the football season, and they're making the contacts. The quarterback's coach, who was in contact with the player, Travis Steps, said they didn't have a spot for him. So it's not like the coach is trying to get the player to come to UND. He's just responding to a question, which apparently is illegal because the window's not open. But out of the kindness of his heart, Travis Steps tried to help land the kid somewhere else. That's an extra solid. All noble things here. And then UND self-reported it. Another noble thing. The only thing UND did wrong, arguably, was tell the NCAA they screwed up. And the NCAA, nobody else is doing this. We all know everybody's tampering, or almost everybody is tampering. They're talking to kids. Or else, why? How are they getting on planes straight to schools who are seeing them the day the transfer portal window opens in some cases? They're planning on going and checking out and talking to these schools. Really, on the first day it opens? On the same day you're supposed to have your first contact with potential transfer pickups? Huh. So anyway, they're doing what everybody else is doing. A kid reached out to them, didn't come from a competitor, came from JUCO. They all move, and the coach helped them, and they self-reported it. No reasons to dislike UND there or think they're a bunch of dirty scoundrels. Here's the second part where head coach Eric Schmidt puts it all in perspective.
Like, hey, we self-reported it, right? And ultimately, the way I look at it is, hey, like we were going 26 miles an hour in a 25, and all of a sudden, now we're losing our license for an entire year, right? You lose your license that way. And there's the guys that are out there that are speeding and in high speed chases that there's been nothing, as you see all these stories and that kind of stuff, there's nothing that's been done, in college football. So the tampering word to me, like if this headline comes out and says, hey, UND self-reports after a kid calls inquiring if he can transfer there, sounds a lot different than tampering, and that's actually what happened, at the end of the day. So
love it. Going 26 in a 25, everybody else is going 50, 60, 70 in a school zone during school hours. And UND actually, that's my, it's usually 15 in a school zone. They were going like 16, 17. Oops. I looked away from the odometer for a second. Whoopsie daisy. And again, you go back to the Jerry Tarkanian line. The NCAA is mad at Kentucky, so they're going to penalize Cleveland State or put Cleveland State on probation. Cleveland State in this case is UND. And I truly believe, now that we know exactly what happened here, and hopefully this made you understand exactly what happened here, you go back to the headline and you think UND is doomed and they're evil, a tampering violation. And now I go, there's only upside to this. And I hope ultimately, a fellow FCS coach told me that kids and their parents, they're not too concerned about this violation. They're just trying to get scholarships to go to a good school. I do feel like maybe they'll miss out on a player or two that could make a difference for a program that lost 5 games by 5 points or less last year to schools like Montana, North Dakota State, USD, SDSU. But again, maybe this publicity will get kids who hadn't thought of UND because they weren't on a national radar. Well, they were on the national radar for a couple of days. People are talking about it. And for the most part, I think this could help Eric Schmidt and UND. I could be wrong, but I don't think I feel it's going to hurt them even less than I did a couple of days ago.